So most people think that food affects autoimmunity in ways where we now have to focus on removing it. You hear no sugar, no gluten, no grains. But today I want to talk about something that's much more powerful than that, and that is what you add in. So we don't have to just avoid certain foods to avoid inflammation. We have to make sure we're adding the foods that our body needs to communicate with the immune system. So when we understand that, the nutrient density, which is one of my favorite words and one I've been teaching since I started teaching nutrition and food classes back in 2017, it's one of our most calming tools. It's the tool that we need to help reverse autoimmune disease. And how do I know? Because I reversed my own with the help of functional medicine doctors and my mentor. And teacher and coach, and actually one of my bosses, Dr. Rita Marie Lascalzo. I hope you follow her. But if you don't know me, I am Jen. I am Holistic Jen. I am a whole food, plant-based culinary coach, and I'm also a health educator. And I've been studying nutrition since 1997, so I'm not new around here. So last week we talked about why autoimmune diets fail when those foundations are missing. We had to have safety and security and calm in the body. But today we're going to be build on the foundation around nutrient density. That is not a buzzword. Like I said, it's one of my favorite words and one that I used to teach back almost 10 years ago now when I taught in-person classes before the pandemic. It directly affects our immune signaling. So, autoimmune disease is not a weak immune system. It's one that's overreacting. It's the immune system isn't signaling correctly. Things are out of balance. And so we need the right nutrients to help bring that back into balance. Sometimes we hear the word modulate. We have to modulate or regulate the immune system, inflammation, and the metabolic balance. We hear so much about metabolic systems, and usually we think about blood sugar because blood sugar is key in there. But you can have other things going on, and blood sugar still looks quote unquote normal. So we have to look at that too. So one of the problems that I see in a lot of my clients is perfection. Guilty as charged. You know, I have to point back at myself as well. We tend to have a lot of this perfectionism and we read information, we think I have to do this perfectly, and we beat ourselves up when we don't do it the way that we were taught or were instructed, and then we feel like we just fell off the wagon. But it's a lot more than that. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to do something a little better than we did yesterday. Or maybe we're just too tired to even get off the couch today. But something we can do better than we did last year, right? So anything that you can do, any of those little steps are going to be wonderful. So nutrient density is very simple. It refers to vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, and fiber inside of a food. And so the one of the ways I like to talk about this is we hear about eating organic, right? And so I can buy or out in my yard. So I live on a farm. For those of you who don't know me, we use regenerative farming. We don't use fertilizers and sprays in the conventional farming sense of the word. We use compost and things like that to feed the soil. Now I can go out and I can buy a conventionally grown apple and I can have it analyzed. I can have an organic apple that I grew here on my farm. We do have we have Granny Smith. So let's say I have a conventionally grown Granny Smith and an organic Granny Smith right here from my farm where I know it's very beginnings all the way to now. Both are going to have around the same calories. They're going to have around the same vitamins and minerals and macros, which we hear about macros, especially in the dieting world. But my organic one, it had to protect itself from UV rays. It had to protect itself from bugs and viruses and bacteria. And so it was sending out all of these phytochemicals to protect it. This conventionally grown one was sprayed with fertilizers and fungicides and pesticides and all these chemicals so that it didn't have to defend itself. Now, when I look at them, mine, it has some dirt on it and gray and maybe has some spots where this conventionally grown one is huge and it looks just beautiful and delicious. So when looking at them in the store, I may want this one, this big one that's beautiful, but it's missing a lot of the phytochemicals that are in my organically grown one. I need all those phytochemicals, everything that it created to defend itself, protect itself. I want in my body because those same chemicals are going to protect me and help me to protect myself and provide nutrients that don't show up in macros, but way down deep with the synergy of the other parts of the apple. So this is a really strange demonstration that I'm talking about. But when we're looking at foods, so if I get a box mix to make a pizza, and so that, which is not something I would do, but let's say I get a box mix, something I did when I was a kid, and you make your own dough and you put on your cheese and your pepperoni and all of this stuff, and I eat that. It's been fortified with chemicals, right? They refine the flours and they add these chemicals to it so that they can say you're getting your riboflavin and those other B vitamins that you need. Now, I can take nuts and seeds and cauliflower and make my own cauliflower crust. And I can make my own seed-based cheese and I can put vegetables on this pizza. And I didn't add any chemicals to it. It's just the chemicals that came from real whole foods and I eat that. Well, this one's going to be high in saturated fat. It's got these chemicals and it has man-made supplements. This one's got God-made supplements. It has supplements from nature. It's got tons of fiber and nutrients. So maybe you can see better from that example. This one is nutrient dense. There's no refined flours in there. It doesn't have any man-made supplements in there. And sometimes supplements are needed. I'm not saying supplements are bad, but we don't know that if, I eat B vitamins in beans and seeds and greens versus supplements that are added to my foods, which one is my body going to recognize and absorb? Probably these from our foods. So nutrient dense wise, this one made with the whole foods is more nutrient dense. So highly nutritious foods can give us more information that our body recognizes and uses as biological information. It doesn't overwhelm the system. It doesn't stress the system to break it down. I could take vitamin C in a tablet, right? Those little round, it looks kind of almost like a Smartie, right? So I could take a vitamin C like that, or I could eat a lemon or an orange or a red bell pepper, and that is going to come packaged with fiber and all these other chemicals that aren't going to show up in that tablet. Now that tablet's going to pass through my digestive tract. I'm going to have different acids and chemicals to break down that tablet to even get that vitamin C. And what else is in there, right? It's not just vitamin C. There's other fillers and things to make the tablet that size and keep it all together one size. It's stamped usually with some kind of imprint, things like that. My body has to break all that down. When I eat a red bell pepper, it has the vitamin C, but it also has nutrients that maybe we haven't even discovered yet. It also comes with lots of water. That tablet is very drying, right? I need water with it to help dissolve it and break it down. This red pepper comes with the water, right? And so it's more nutrient dense. It's going to provide things my body's going to recognize. It says, hey, I know this. This comes from the earth. Right? It came from a plant, that red bell pepper. And so I'm using that as an example, but all of our whole foods that are grown on bushes and trees and outside, right, in nature, we can grow them in our yard, even herbs. Our body recognizes that and it's much easier to break them down. And then those signals created from those nutrients help balance inflammation, help balance stress hormones, and help with immune activation as well. So your immune system is not separate from your digestive tract. As a matter of fact, 72% or so of your immune system is in your gut. And so we have to get all that food into your gut and absorb naturally. And you may have heard in autoimmune disease, most people have leaky gut. They have like little open pores or tears along the gut wall, lots of irritants, things like that. Or maybe they have very fast digestive tract and food doesn't sit in there long enough for them to absorb the nutrients. Or maybe they're missing certain microbes that are needed to break down nutrients. There's usually something going in the gut. And so if the gut isn't healthy, our immune system's not going to be healthy either. So we have to make sure that we're eating foods that are nourishing to the gut, are going to help to maintain that gut lining, which is very mucilaginous. We think about mucus, we think, oh, no, that's gross, that's disgusting. But we need that coating, that soft cushioning in the intestinal tract to feed those microbes Kind of gross, right? It also to protect our stomach lining from foods. Like, do you chew your food until it's completely liquid? Or do you swallow things like maybe you chewed a handful of nuts and some of those sharp edges are going through? We need our body to be protected from those sharp edges of the foods that you have swallowed. So every bite we eat is actually interacting with our immune cells, with our microbes, and with all the little signals that talk to our inflammatory system. And so we want to pay attention to our food. We want to make sure our food contains fiber. Most people in the US are not even meeting the dismal 25 grams that are recommended a day. My breakfast needs 25 grams. We need to be eating more fiber. Am I telling you to eat 25 grams at breakfast tomorrow? No, you may have a lot of gas and bloating if you're not used to that. So let's find ways to increase your fiber. We need lots of polyphenols, colorful foods. My number one rule is always read the ingredients, and number two is always eat the rainbow. We need lots of colorful foods, lots of diversity. We need antioxidants. Those are also in those colorful foods. Think about berries. Think about foods that are rich in vitamins and minerals. We need those foods. I have an article coming out about oxidative stress. You may have heard that word. And so antioxidants are so important to help to protect our body. We all have oxidative stress. It can be good to have oxidation. We have to have it going on, but we don't want it out of balance to lead to stress. We need antioxidants to help keep it under control. And then we need the minerals in our foods as well. So when we're talking about diet, when our calories are high, but the nutrients are low, so a donut very high in calories, we all know that, but it doesn't have lots of vitamins and minerals. It might have those vitamins like I was talking about before, they're added to flour, but it doesn't have the same vitamins and minerals that would be in something like a chia pudding that's got some lupini flakes and lots of chia seeds and berries and maybe a plant-based yogurt, something like that, right? That is not going to be able to, you can't compare the nutrients of that to a donut. So when calories are high and nutrients are low, like in a donut, your body has to work really hard to get the nutrients that it needs. It's saying, hey, where are my vitamins and minerals? And this stresses the system, which leads to inflammation. A donut also leads to blood sugar swings, which also stresses the system. And then we have cravings because we're not meeting those nutrient needs. That donut did not give me all the minerals I need for today. And so my body's saying, hey, we need to keep eating. We didn't get those nutrients. So for an autoimmune body like mine, like many of you out there, there's a mismatch. We need to eat the foods that give us the minerals and vitamins and other phytonutrients that the body needs to keep the immune system in balance. So one of my favorite tools is the G bombs. You may have heard of Dr. Furman. He's one of my favorites. In our Culinary Healing Circle, we're talking about Eat to Live. That's our book of the month or book of the season right now. It's taken us a while to go through it, but he talks about the G bombs. That's our greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. And so greens, very, very high in minerals. They are wonderful for detox pathways in the liver. They also support nitric oxide, which is wonderful for our cardiovascular health and helping with blood flow and circulation and things like that. So greens are key. I try to get greens 3 times a day. Beans and lentils. So AIP cuts out beans and lentils, but I have found personally for me, when I cut out beans and lentils, my LDL went up. My cholesterol went flying off the charts. Now, I do have family history of high cholesterol, but I've never had high cholesterol my entire life until I cut out beans. I put the beans back in, and you would not believe my blood work. It just whoosh, right back down. My body needs those beans. My body needs that soluble fiber. Beans for me stabilize my blood sugar. My A1C is 5.1. I don't know if you're familiar with that. That's a US number, but that's optimal. And so, yes, you can eat beans and have good blood numbers. My insulin is also awesome as well. I can't remember the number. I think it's 3. And then it also supports our microbiome. We need those nutrients in beans and other legumes to feed the beneficial gut bugs. And then onions and alliums, garlic. Those contain sulfur compounds that the liver needs for detoxification. They also contain a lot of medicinal qualities as well. And we like to have a little bit raw. And so that can be like the green onion tops, things like that. Mushrooms, that's another key in the G-bombs. They have beta glucans that help to modulate, there's that word again, the immune system, immune activity, help to balance the immune system and help with the microbiome as well. They do have to be cooked. Cook your mushrooms. Berries. Berries are very high in antioxidants that help to prevent oxidative stress. They help with our body. When our body's attacking, it's creating these reactive oxygen species. We need antioxidants to help balance that so that we don't have an over abundance of oxidation going on or rusting in the body. Seeds and nuts also cut out in AIP. They're very high in minerals. We need those omega-3 healthy fats. Those are essential, essential, essential. That means we have to get them from our foods. They're necessary in the body and they're necessary for cooling inflammation. So make sure that you find, if you're sensitive to any nuts and seeds, then remove them. But it's really key that you can get those, the ones that you are not sensitive to. So don't just eliminate the entire group. Just identify if you are sensitive to any one of them. That's something that I can help you learn how to do. So in these foods, we eat these foods consistently, greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds, our immune system regulates. Our body gets the nutrients it needs. All those foods are high. They're nutrient dense, except for nuts. And so nuts are higher in fat. So comparatively, so if I eat like a chia seed, it's so tiny. One chia seed, teeny tiny, right? Lots of nutrients in that teeny tiny seed and hardly any calories. Whereas a walnut is pretty large, has a lot of fat, has wonderful minerals. It even has anthocyanins, which are great for the brain. You may have heard that about walnuts before, but it's high in calories. And so while it's wonderful for you, you don't want to eat too many walnuts. It's better to have more chia seeds than the walnuts, right? And that's just one little comparison. Eat your greens. So that's just where I am again. So I've seen this over and over. I keep going on tangents with my clients. They keep asking me, what else do I need to cut out? Stop thinking, what do I need to cut out? And start thinking about what you need to put in. When you're meeting your nutrient needs, when you're eating enough calories, your energy improves. You won't believe how much energy. I have lots of energy, and I've had days, if I go into an autoimmune flare, like on Christmas, you can go back and read my blog. Christmas Day, I was trying to hold my phone to read a text. I couldn't even hold my phone. I was so exhausted. Luckily, I bounced back the next day. It was after I was on vacation and flying and got exposed to corn, which I know I can't do corn. But when you eat this way consistently and avoid those things that you know are triggers, your energy is off the charts. I can work out, I can go for a run and things like that. And you can too when we get your body back where it needs to be. Your cravings calm. You stop wanting to eat all day long because you've met your nutrient needs. Your body's like, yes, I'm satisfied, I'm calm, I know what I need. Your digestion stabilizes. You don't have to worry, am I too far away from the bathroom? Or why couldn't I go to the bathroom today? And so we don't want you to have to worry about bathroom issues. And then inflammation calms, those heavy legs. I've had the heavy legs. I've experienced it. I've had those awful psoriasis rashes where you just can't stop scratching and just want to hold your arms under that super hot scalding water because it burns, but it feels so much better than the itchy rash, right? Oh, that's awful. But when we eat this way, when we get our system back the way it needs to be, we remove only those things we're sensitive to so that we can get our nutrient needs met and meet our calorie needs. We can bring our body back into balance and we can feel good and energized and young and youthful again. So I want to welcome you if you want to learn more to check out Culinary Healing Circle. That is my membership group. We talk about food every week. We have Qigong every week. We have food demos at least twice a month. We talk about herbal remedies at least once a month. We have a master class where we really break down food. And we have a book club that meets at least twice a month as well. I'd love for you to join us. You can join now for $19 for your first month. You can cancel anytime. Check it out. See, there's a digital library of things. I'd love to see you in there because I want to help you on your healing journey. So next week, I wanted to tell you what I'm talking about next week. Oh, blood sugar. Next week, I want to talk about blood sugar because if your blood sugar is out of control, you're not going to get your antibodies under control. And so let's talk a little bit about blood sugar and what that means for you. So I hope you'll join me again next week.